Well, to be blunt, this is where I bled, sweat, and cried some of the time when I worked with a client. And I'll try to teach you the benefit of my poor judgment. So migrating Icinga from text files configuration to director. Sounds like a great idea. You'll hear about pitfalls in a minute. Who am I? My name is Assaf, as I've been introduced. I'm the father of two hellraisers. I'm working in IT since 1999 and been working with Icinga since, God, I think what it was, 2009, 2011? Who knows? Been so long. I've been implementing monitoring solutions for enterprise and small businesses in 2002 as the main position. And I just hate the title DevOps. There's no such thing as a DevOps person. DevOps is a mentality, it's a procedure. It's not a person. That's just HR bullshit. Right, starting point with a client. They had a single Icinga implementation. One node, single stack, everything on the same box. And several zones that they wanted to manage. It doesn't scale, and the guy that was running it didn't like it. Adding a new host was a really joy of a task. You check out the CVS, yes, it's not a typo, it's a CVS. You check out the Excel. You add a new host in the line. You put it in, then a cron job reads it, parses it, creates the configuration, reloads it, and that's how you add a new host to Icinga. This was their way of distributing the load from one guy to everybody in the team. If you wanted a new service added, you actually had to contact that one guy. When I was called in, anybody guess how many backlog services he had in his queue? Raise your hands. Okay, you want me to tell you? All right.
150, 200?
You're getting close with the 200, you're getting close. 455. Of course, he was annoyed because he had other jobs to do, so he didn't pay attention to that. Removing a service or a host. That was the way. Just acknowledge, it's down, I don't care about it. The system after 1 year. You're laughing. I didn't when I saw that. So the end result was nobody gave a crack about the system. People, there's the Icinga, the alerts go to the spam, to the junk. Nobody cares. Only the technical guy. Because it was his pain to actually add stuff, but nobody cared about if it's clean. So, what do we do? Anybody? Ideas? The tech guy had a good one. Let's clear the system. Remove everything that is not needed anymore. Make it green, make it relevant. Let's do it properly. Anybody else disagrees with that assessment? No, good. The benefits. How much would it cost? Nothing. The guy already works there. It's just cleaning up the crash. It's fast turnover. Can be done with a couple of days. No more problem. People understand what's going on in the system. It's a better ownership and understanding of what's relevant. And you get what you want. Problem, the tech guy is too busy. Like I said, he has 450-something tickets to add stuff in his queue, so he doesn't get time to clean stuff. And nobody from the services that are asking to be put in can tell him, yeah, this one you can remove. No, that one we need to get the statistics, but we don't want to get the alerts, so leave it like that. Nobody wants to help him, so he's on his own. Management get involved. Let's hire somebody to do the work for us. Now, we all know the premise, customer is always right. No. Oh, crap. Okay, the sound doesn't work again. Talking to management. Everybody had a project. Who's a contractor here? Nobody. Oh, there, good. Have you ever been called into a contract, had to talk to a tech guy and then talk to the management? Yeah. Oops. This is what it feels like. There's a monologue and there's a dialogue. When you're talking to management, it's a dialogue by that definition. Right? When you're doing a monologue like I'm doing now, it's myself talking to, it's a person talking to himself. Talking to management, it's two people talking to themselves. Nobody actually listens, which is sad. Management's idea. Build a new system. Great idea. Provide services for the user where they can actually build their own configuration, build their own monitoring, and design it to scale. But let's import all the other crap from the old system into it. No, guys, no. You want to make it right. You want to build it clean. You want to make it efficient. Why do you want to bring all the crap with you? It's like building an old house and actually dumping all the waste into the house. Why do you want to do that? The tools, Icinga 2, naturally, and Director. Good decisions. Now, project milestones, the way I wanted it to be. You wanted to say, all right, we want to get the infrastructure ready. You want to have the master HA availability tested. You want a distributed setting for the satellites tested. And the list goes on and on and on. Management milestones. Yep, that's what they wanted. That's the milestone that they decided to do when we built the new system. You get it ready, that's it. There's this long a list of how to do it and what needs to be done in the middle. No. You build it. Import it. Build it. Okay. Like I said, dialogue, right? I'll go back to the dialogue, or everybody remembers what it was. The end goal was this: a redundant, self-serving, and relevant system. Meaning it has to be a live system, meaning people will have to define and remove their own stuff. And acknowledging and forgetting it makes it red? No. That's also mean training, and we'll get to that in the end, unfortunately. Initial hurdles. It's a big company. The project doesn't handle the IT. The IT, of course, don't care about you guys. They don't want to help you. They have their own problems. In this particular project, the Icinga web authentication was LDAP, or Active Directory. Anybody know about the Active Directory issue that entered in 2008? If you're submitting a call with more than 1,000 requests, you're being denied by an LDAP driver. You basically get nothing. There is a flag in Active Directory which you enable in the registry that enables you to get that results back. But they say that it could cause possibility for the Active Directory to fail, and you need to fail to the secondary before you do that in the primary, and blah, blah, blah. Of course, the IT guys don't want to do that. So you're stuck. You can't do LDAP. And of course, they never cleaned the AD. There were users that left the company 4 years before we started the project. Still in the system. Still with their phone numbers. Still marked as active. You're laughing. Everything I mentioned here caused me to cringe when I saw that. No liaison time. That's a major issue when you're doing a contract or a project this scale. You need somebody you can talk to and ask for changes that you need on their end, or help when you're not there. I only had the tech guy. 1 hour a week, maybe. Can you guess how much time in that 1 hour when I was there he could actually give me? Sorry? 15. I used to get 15 minutes, and everything else was in emails after hours because I couldn't get anything done with him. And this guy wanted to help me because he set up the original Icinga, and he's the guy who brought me in. He wanted to help me, but they kept pushing him to other projects. I'm not going to go over number 3 because we discussed it over again. And number 4. Glad I wasn't the only one who didn't see that coming. Nothing. They didn't even document what they had used. I mean, they didn't document the procedure of how to add the host. The first slide I told you about how to add a host into the Icinga was more documented than what they provided to any person within the company. You had to learn that as you went along. I was utterly disgraced. And then, this what happened. Anybody doesn't recognize what an SEP field is? Who read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Raise your hands. The initials goes to someone else's problem. Douglas Adams stipulated that if you want to solve a problem, it's easier to make it somebody else's problem than actually solve it. It solves 99% of the energy waste. So if it's somebody else's problem, you saved a lot of time. The problem is, nobody manages the system. So what happens? You're the consultant. You're supposed to implement it. They want you to be their IT guy to actually manage the system and make it a live one. Because monitoring systems is a live system. It's not something a single state, you leave it like that, it doesn't change. Services fluctuate, threshold change. You add hosts, you remove hosts, you find there's a new metric you want, not a new state you want to add in. It has to be added. You find that it's wrong, you remove it. It's a living system that changes and evolves as you build it. And if there's nobody actually managing it, yes, there's a consultant. Yes, but I have other projects. I'm not sitting there every time. I'm not there 550 times, 50 minutes a day, right? I'm here when you call me. No, you'll deal with it. No, I won't. Right, director, lovely thing. I love it. I use it all the time. But they think, if you don't explain it properly, because whomever sold it to them said, director is the next best thing. It's the best new thing since sliced bread, but it's not equal to what you can do in a configuration file. Here's an example of what you can do in a configuration file. Going over each iteration in a director, you can't. You have to break it down to different services. You can't do the ifs for applying and changing the logic within the runnings. You have to do that in the configuration file. Of course, I'll go back to the dialog. They won't listen. It has to be the same. You can't break it up. We want to have it in a key value pair where you change the values and the thresholds based on X. Guys, this cannot be done. No, but we told the director can do everything. No, director can't do everything. It won't change gravity. Some things are constant. What you can do in text or in programming languages, you cannot do in a graphical interface. You laugh. I didn't, again. I had to sit down with about, 28 kind of configurations like this and break them down to individual services. Once I finished doing that, they complained, hey, why do we have so many rules and services? We only wanted one. You can't have the cake and eat it. You have to find the middle ground. No. Right. Eventually, you have to stand your ground and say, guys, it's either this or nothing. They bended. I had to build it like that. When you're starting to work, you need to decide the specification of the nodes, right? You can't run Icinga on a 1 core, 1 gig RAM. You can, but it won't scale much, and it won't be a production system. You decide the specification of nodes, you build the infrastructure, right? All tested. You test the connectivity, you test the ping is running, the DNS records, and everything is pinging and lovely. You go home, you come back next week. And everything goes to shit. Right, okay, how do we add new configuration? Can anybody think if they did it the proper way at least? Because the tech guy is still there. You can ask him. The data, the configuration, is not in the persistent volume. The users for the Icinga webs are not in the persistent volume. They're in the container itself. So every time you want to add a new user to the roles, or you want to add a new service, restart the Docker. How is that for service continuing to be? Very bad, especially when you're adding services through director. Basically, we had 58% of the time down because we were restarting the Dockers. Then this happens. Again, it was unexpected. I didn't see it coming, and neither should you. But as soon as I heard he was leaving, I was like, oh, crap. Because I knew the other guy there. I'm giving him a compliment in that statement. Actually, I'm giving him a compliment. They're still sending me requests about how to add a service, how to do this. I gave them all documentation. I documented the project because I like to be a good contractor and like to be hired, and I like to give a full project done. There's full section. There's a document for the users. There's a document for the admins. He only looks at the users. He still considers himself a user. And he calls me up about things that are clearly documented in the admin text. So when I entered that situation, this was what I was thinking. All right, it's not worth my problem anymore. Should I abandon this ship, let them sink, and let them deal with it? Or I struggle on. This is what I did. If anybody hasn't seen that movie, it's Fat Boy Run, Fat Boy Run. And this is the outcome. A redundant system with Icinga Web Director on separate nodes with high availability between them, connecting to two high availability masters with a redundant Galera database at the side. That way we can't have a single point of failure. Anybody doesn't know Galera? You don't know what it is? Galera is basically a cluster system for MySQL, or MariaDB if you want to call it like that, which allows you full almost real-time synchronization. So you lose one node, you still have two that you can connect. They're also talking with console, so it's not no DNS problem. You're using just one FQDN and you always connect it to the master. That's not a problem. And we have the zones. Previously, if you guys remember, they had one satellite in each zone. Now we have two in each zone. In this slide, you have 3, but currently they have 12, and they're going to install another 3 in the next month. And these are just items they're monitoring: servers, hosts, racks, APCs, CP, and other devices that are currently slip my mind. Redundant? Self-serving, because we gave them the director, right? They can add the host, they had the templates, they can add the services, and they can remove them. And relevant. Besides the director, eventually I actually added the cube in there, because they needed to find a way how they can actually differentiate nodes based on attributes. Initially, they did that by going into the command line and grep -r vars equals something on the directory. And let's find out which hosts have those lines in. The problem was, remember that old cron file? It created one file, hosts.conf. So you get hosts.conf and 60 lines, and now go find it. You couldn't find out which host actually has it. You have to go into the file or do grep -b6 -a4 and get the host template, and then basically all that. Cube, beautiful stuff. I need that attribute. Oh, I have 16 of those. With director, I need to disable that. I need to change all of them. Self-service, relevant, and catering to all the users. If you're ever doing that kind of thing, the fine print, even in your own company, the fine print is, don't miss, if you're in your own company, never mind, you have to maintain your own bespoke script. That's something, but for a contractor, don't ever try to maintain somebody else's script that they built for their own integration. This company decided to forgo the normal monitoring and the notification scripts that provided with Icinga. They wrote their own script in Python that integrates with their own text messages and mail services. And 3 times while the integration went, they said notifications aren't going. And I'm looking at the logs. I see notification execution. It's going. No, it doesn't go. Okay, I open the debug log and I get the Python stack. There's a problem with the script. No, there is no problem. You guys changed the script. No, we haven't. Stat, name the file. It was changed 2 hours ago. Oh, yeah, we did that. Never maintain bespoke scripts. If it's their script, let them handle it, especially if you're not a Python developer, which I'm not. Insist on ordinary knowledge transfer. This is, I can't emphasize this enough. People think, oh yeah, you built it, you're available all the time. If you don't get the time from the technical person to actually sit with him and tell him how the system is built, how to maintain it, how the documentation works, and where to find more answers. There were times that I could have gone, if I had any hair left, I would have pulled it out, because a simple Google entry would have send you either to one of Michael's reply on the internet, or just go to the documentation about how to do things. And they basically call me at god-awful hours. How do you do this? And it's literally 20-second Google search. Not for me, for them. Right? Some of the stuff I knew by hand. But if you sit down with them, I'll go back to the clueless guy. When the technical guy left, there was supposed to be a week of knowledge transfer. The new clueless guy decided to take that week off for vacation. Yeah, you're laughing. Again, I was crying when this happened, when they told me. I came 3 days, basically I came 3 days that week to that client to sit with him to help him with the knowledge transfer. He was on vacation. I wasted 3 days. So insist on those. If you don't do a knowledge transfer for any part of the project, it's doomed to fail. Doomed. Otherwise, you'll be crying your head at the end of the day or the weekend. A dedicated liaison, again. Because I didn't have people to help me liaison, a project which I estimated in a 1.5 month integration took 5 months. 5 months. Because I had to chase people to let me do things, and because there was no person with no boots on the ground in the company, I had to wait a couple of weeks until something actually happened. And the last one is a big one. Have an exit clause if you're a contractor. Tell them, if you can't abide by these simple rules, I'm out of here. You're not worth the time and the money. Oh, hell. Yeah, I told you, 45 minutes. And he takes over everything. Questions? These are my contact details. Wow, I was close. I was short. Again. No questions? Okay, thank you. Damn.
Is this on? Okay. Are there, that's loud, sorry. Are there any questions? Because, yeah, we are 25 minutes ahead.
Sorry. I can go back. If you will.
You don't have to do it again. You don't have to do it again.
Sorry.
So any questions? Yeah.
Is the client still using its Excel sheet to import to a director?
Sorry?
Is the client using the Excel sheet to import to the director?
No. When we imported the director, we abandoned that. They no longer use the Excel sheet. That was one of the first things I kicked out. And also, because we had to import a lot of their junk into it, there was we took an SQL database dump and we imported that. It took me I used the sync rules and import resources to actually import all that. And along the way, I had to parse the information and remove whatever was unnecessary. For instance, like I mentioned, there were users that were built in and weren't cleaned, and we found there were people with the same name, the same phone number and email that left the company, were away from the company for 2 years, then came back. But the account was disabled. They couldn't actually create, for some reason, they couldn't just get their old account. So they created a new name and a new user account record in the Active Directory. So you try to merge them. Or there are people that were defined in contacts to get notifications, which left the company. All kinds, but their mobile number was still there. So they were still being pinged once an error occurred, because in the new system, notification wasn't disabled. It was active. Yeah, so the Excel sheet was the first casualty of war, and we removed that. And I also managed to convince and taught people how to use the director properly and move the configurations that was needed to stay in configuration files into Git. And I hope they took it. One more thing that they actually did was when we moved them from the director, I was able to convince them that the database couldn't be a single instance, which, like you said, initially was. Yeah. Anything else? Any questions? Yeah. I think I can hear him. Oh, but
yeah, but for the record,
sure.
Makes sense.
And what about these nested variables in the host definitions? You made multiple services, as I've got it.
Yes, I had to sit down and break each service manually. Basically, copy paste the variables for single services. If the directory at the moment doesn't handle variable maps, as you can see in that slide, there were maps within maps, right? It doesn't do that. You have to break it down specifically and create apply rules and variables individual for the host itself. So like it was a long process. There were some of them that couldn't be parsed. So they were stayed as static files in the etc Icinga directory, but the rest, the ones that were smaller ones, the one that I showed you was one of the smaller ones. They had one with 56 lines in the key value array that I wanted to break down, but they said, no, never mind. It will take too much of your time. Yeah, you haven't wasted 5 months already, but never mind that. This will take 5 hours, but okay. So this one, the bigger ones stayed as they are and were read into the configuration. Those are in Git. The smaller ones, I had to break them to specific configurations within the hosts and within server supply rules.
Thank you.
Thank you. More questions? Anyone? Okay, then again, thank you very much for your talk.